Today we are going to learn a little lesson about emotional regulation. It is important to understand what emotions are, when you are feeling them, and how to manage the negative ones. Emotional regulation is essentially the ability to be able to control one's emotions. If we do not know how to regulate those emotions, then those emotions will simply control us. An emotion is the type of arousal the body has during a certain experience and what the body displays to others. Feelings come next. A feeling is how the mind responds to the body's type of arousal. Most people do not realize that in the moment of conflict or arousal, we feel, we act, and then we think. Once we finally think, we wish we had acted differently. How we feel usually sparks initial motivational reactions. For instance, you feel afraid. Your body wants to run and hide. You feel guilty. Your body wants to do whatever it is to stop doing wrong. As cognitive functioning humans, we have the ability to make thought processes, but sometimes those thought processes are yielded by our feelings and emotions. In order to use those processes properly and be able to feel, think, and then act, we must learn how to understand our emotions and what we are experiencing. For instance, anger. One would normally think is a feeling that comes first. But from a negative situation, this is not essentially true. Anger is often called a secondary emotion because there are underlying primary feelings that cause us to be angry. We almost always feel something else before we feel angry. These initial feelings can be feelings such as humiliation, hurt, rejection, being afraid, or just being frustrated. If any of those emotions are intense enough, then we sometimes unknowingly react to them as anger. Often, the arousal can go unnoticed and behaviors occur without thought to what's happening. Anger usually comes with physical cues such as intense body, pouting, wanting to shout or use unkind words, or simply making noises such as deep breathing or growling. Being aware of these cues and identifying anger, we can take steps back and get in touch with our thought process to work with dealing with the initial feelings appropriately. Breathe slowly and take a calm breath. Use calming self-talk in your thoughts. For example, I need to think, be calm. I need to give myself a minute. It is not as bad as it seems. Or even think to yourself, the other person probably doesn't realize how they are acting either. Now understanding that we often act before we think, and that certain actions and feelings stem from underlying emotions, we can consider what is going on within our counterpartner when experiencing conflict situations. Once we are aware of our own emotions and feelings, we can think about what is going on and also how the other person can be feeling due to their primary emotions. Knowing that we fundamentally act before we think, and the fact that they may be unaware of how they are acting due to their initial emotional responses, we have a better understanding of how to approach someone and how to de-escalate the situation. Instead of arguing back and forth in anger, you can now approach situations with a certain level of ease, awareness. You can say, look, I just got really embarrassed. Or, hey, I know I really hurt your feelings. And vice versa. These approaches will help better resolve a conflict than fighting, ignoring, or retaliating negatively. To wrap up this mini lesson, you have now learned what makes up regulating emotions, knowing when you are experiencing a feeling that causes that feeling and thinking about how to control it rather than letting it control you is the key to emotional regulation. thinking before you act, taking a step back and assessing a situation, and considering the other person's feelings and emotions are factors that can help positively resolve negative situations with others.